And welcome to Wine and Spirits with Stephanie. I am so excited about our guest today, winemaker extraordinaire, Adam Lazarre. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me here. This is exciting.
Adam Lazarre has been making wine for over 30 years, created such superstar wines as Rex Goliath, Cycles Gladiator, Broadside, and this is just to name a few. You make so many amazing wines, then you kind of started to venture into your own wine. So Can you tell us a little bit about how does the Lazarre wines differ from the wines you make?
Yeah, the Lazarre wines, I have a very small winery in Paso Robles, California, where I live, where I've spent the last 23 years of my life. And if your listeners are unfamiliar where Paso Robles is, it is right in the middle, in between LA and San Francisco on the coast. I love the fruit that comes out of there. It was also a place where I could start a small winery, where places like Napa and Santa Barbara are way too expensive. So the big difference is these are wines that I like to make for my friends and for myself. Some of them are very unusual. For example, we have a Petit Verdot, which is a very uncommon. You don't see a lot of that on a label. It's an uncommon Bordeaux red variety. I do Albarino because I love the Spanish grapes. I do, sometimes I do a little Chardonnay. So those started off as a passion project for my family. It still is. And again, it's just something that I can offer you and your guests here in Huntsville that nowhere else in the country they can get, save for maybe a couple places in Montana.
I'm going to talk about the label of your wine and the design of it. And what is really fun and interesting about the design of this, and it looks beautiful, but it's actually made to look like heavy metals. When they turn into those teals and pinks. And that is another homage to your love of heavy metal, right?
It is, yeah. My wife, Angie, when we decided, we'd gone through a couple of different label changes, and you can do that when you're a small little family. If I decide I want to change the label tomorrow, I can do it. It doesn't matter because I'm not sold in big chains. So when we decided to change our label design, she wanted to come up with a concept where if you could visualize hard rock music. And so our label designer came up with this idea of taking digital photographs of the colors that you get off of oil slicks. And it was just kind of a visualization of the hard rock music, and so it was so we wanted to have something that actually meant something. People have an oak tree or a crown or something on their labels, and it means absolutely nothing except for just a cool label.
I love it. It's almost like an Easter egg. It's this little detail that kind of goes back to you that you don't even know. So my next question is, so you make Petit Verdot, you make a beautiful Pinot Noirs, you make red blends. Do you have a favorite varietal? You make Cabernet, Sauvignon?
Oof.
Does it depend on the day?
Yeah, it depends on the day. I actually, so my favorite wines to work with, my favorite grapes to work with are white grapes, white wines. Reds are a lot easier to make. If you make a mistake, you can stick it in a brand new oak barrel for another couple months and it kind of takes care of the problem. White wines, if you screw it up, it sticks out like a sore thumb. You can't hide mistakes. I love working with Albarino, which is Spanish grape, came over here about 30 years ago. And this year, for the first time in 20 years, I'm working with Viognier for the famous Bendecido vineyard. And I decided it was my favorite white wine I'd ever made. I made it 20 years ago when I was at Hahn. It was a tasting room only wine. And I never forgot the flavors and how much joy that brought to me to make and to drink. And so I found out they were pulling the grapes out this winter. So I got the very last 1.5 tons of fruit available. And so
I'm excited. Are we going to be able to?
It will be strictly for Huntsville and my kitchen.
Thanks so much for spending some time with me today to give us all these little tidbits.
I'm thrilled that you invited me. Oh my goodness, any excuse to come here, it's great.
Thank you. All right, well, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Wine and Spirits with Stephanie. Until next time, cheers.
Salute.